I'll now invite His Excellency Mr. Francois Richier, the Ambassador of France to India, to address the gathering. Please put your hands together, everybody, for Mr. Richier.
Honorable Minister for Minority Affairs, dear Mrs. Ebtullah, Honorable Minister of State for Textile, dear Mr. Aloualia, dear Pierre Benham, and other, and dear Mr. Mayaram and other dignitaries on the days, dear friends, thank you very much for welcoming me. Indeed, the image of France is quite often associated to luxury brands. Luckily, we have other specialties, but this one is one we have had historically. So I'm not going to go into what the previous speakers have said, and just focus on a couple of ideas which I think can be of use for everybody in this room. First of all, maybe a little word about the French experience in luxury goods and how it came, how we became a luxury brand in our own right. When you look at the situation in France at the end of the Middle Age, there was no luxury brand, no luxury good manufactured in France. All this came from the Renaissance period, which and was not created out of nothing. It was created thanks to import of goods from Italy, from the Middle East, from India, which we tried to, in a way, copy or inspired French designers in the 16th century. And that became not only an industry, but a mindset among the people. So it didn't came from us, it came from imported products that we decided to make ours. Indeed, later on, that luxury sector faced hardships. End of the 17th century, and this is the connection with the minority affairs, we sadly decided to ban Protestants from the Catholic kingdom. As a result, in a matter of a few months, many lakhs of Protestants decided to leave France with their craftsmanship skills, industrial skills, and we lost the basic industrial bases and craftsmanship bases of the country to Switzerland, to Germany, to the Netherlands, and to England. And it took us something like 100 years to restore this. Then came the French Revolution, which was not ideal for luxury brands either, because large segments of the customers disappeared, either because they fled out of France or because they had no money anymore. But nevertheless, a new bourgeoisie came out of the revolution and decided to go for luxury goods. So that has created another generation, which has lasted until now. The government, on some instances, was key in developing luxury goods. I will give you just one example. Two, for example, in 17th century, tapestry, but also glassware. And mirrors. In 17th century, no mirror was manufactured in France. It was a luxury good imported from India or from the Middle East. And of course, since it was a luxury good, everybody wanted to have mirrors, but it was so expensive that we couldn't afford it. Even our king was in difficulty because he wanted to have a mirror gallery, which is now in the Palace of Versailles. So what did he do? He imported the technology from abroad, most probably from India, and set up a company called Saint-Gobain in France, which to manufacture mirrors. It is today still there. This manufacturer is 300 and something years old, and it is a very powerful world company, which turnover must be several billion euros a year, but it started as a luxury brand. So all this to say that the luxury goods and the luxury economy has very specific features which have to be taken into account. Indeed, it's not only about selling to rich customers, it is also about creating jobs for many, many people, and this is definitely part of the very important part of the French GDP. In this respect, what do we need? Essentially, design, innovation, and excellence. That is the key words, and I think somebody mentioned them already. When we look at the connection with foreign countries, what are we looking for? We look for inspiration, new forms, new models. Craftsmanship, indeed, raw material, and market. But the four are not separated. Generally, when you have one, you have the other. And this is why India is very much on the map, because there is inspiration, there is craftsmanship, there is raw material, and there is a market. This makes India definitely on one of the top countries to develop a luxury brand industry in the future. I give you another interesting historical example. In the 19th century, the cashmere shawl became extremely fashionable in France. Every woman with a certain degree of prosperity wanted to have one. It was incredibly expensive. And for women in the bourgeoisie, they were listed in their dowry how many cashmere shawls they were having. And this became a very, very important trade element between France and India. Why so? Because it was warm, and in France is a cold country, because it was elegant, and because it was special. Then what happened? The textile industry in France was growing, and they decided to copy the cashmere shawl, and finally successfully designed something and produced something which was looking like a cashmere shawl, but was not a cashmere shawl because it was an industrial low-cost product. As a consequence, this was widespread all over in every class of the society because everybody could afford the fake cashmere shawl. And then the bourgeoisie, of course, didn't want the cashmere shawl anymore because they thought that everybody had to have it, even if this was not the real one. But in Kashmir at that time, nobody realized that the market was changing its mind in France. And there was certainly then a lack of innovation and a lack of alternative design. Had they produced an alternative design, they probably would have kept that market for them. But that was not the case. The market fell. The industrial product copying the cashmere shawl themselves collapsed. And that was the end of the cashmere shawl in France. So as you see, design, innovation, excellence are at the core of what we can do. And I'm sure, having heard what the French industry has in mind, that we can do more and more together between France and India in terms of design, innovation, excellence, inspiration, craftsmanship, and market, provided that we open to each other, provided that we see this connection between France and India as a partnership and not as a punitive and purely market-oriented approach, and that we can build this as a joint venture for the future. Thank you very much.
May I now invite Dr. Arvind Mayaram, the Honorable Secretary, Ministry of Minority Affairs, Government of India, to speak to all of us. Please put your hands together, everybody.
Honorable Minister for Minority Affairs, Honorable Minister for Textiles, Excellency the French Ambassador, distinguished guests on the dais, ladies and gentlemen. It must come as a surprise that an official from the Ministry of Minority Affairs should be invited to speak in a luxury conference. For what could be considered even remotely connected between the welfare of the minorities in this country and luxury products. It's a very legitimate question. But then this world is strangely interconnected. And what is perceived as a world divided distinctly into segments of rich and poor, of haves and have-nots, of high fashion and pedestrian is perhaps not as sharply divided as it appears to be. And in the next couple of minutes, I would endeavor to bring to you the linkage between the status of the economy, the consumption of luxury goods and services, and the connect between the rich and consuming and the poor and the producing. Luxury is a product of surplus in the society. The volume of luxury products, both goods and services, indicate the level of prosperity a country has been able to achieve. In another sense, consumption levels of luxury products is also a barometer of the health of the economy. When the economy is on the upswing, there is a greater offtake, and when the economy begins to slow down, we see a decline. Since 2008, when the global economy went into a downward spiral, luxury industry has felt the impact of the slowdown. But as the global economy recovers, the global luxury industry is expected to grow, even though the growth impulses are coming mostly out of the US, due to growing income inequalities, which has resulted in faster income growths. And these have largely insulated the rich in the Asia-Pacific region. We are seeing a major upswing in consumption of luxury products in this region, and therefore, this summit being held in India is an interesting linkage to the fact that this region is emerging as a major area of interest for luxury products. Interestingly, in 2012, the data which I have been able to get to, India recorded the fastest growth in the consumption of luxury goods in the region, overtaking China. India's average growth of 8% per annum during the period 2003 and 11 created a huge demand for luxury goods. Unfortunately, the global meltdown caught up with the Indian economy, and for the last couple of years, the signs were not encouraging. Thankfully, from 2013-14 onwards, the GDP numbers have been showing an upward trend. And this year, the GDP is expected to grow between 7 and 7.5%, a remarkable feat considering that the global economy is still sluggish, and China's growth is likely to slow down to 6.5%. It is interesting to understand luxury industry in a larger perspective than only greater consumption by the poor. I can clearly identify two major contributions made by this industry in the larger economic perspective. The first is the pursuit of excellence and quality. Luxury products are marked out by the pursuit of perfection. After all, those who pay the high price for luxury also demand quality. Now, quality is not a mathematical number to be achieved. It is the precision in detail, and the bar is continuously raised by competition. We have seen this in hospitality industry, for instance, whereas the general norm for five-star properties is laid down, and the minimum hurdle must be crossed to get the rating, we have seen continuous pushing of the envelope, and subcategories such as seven-star properties or luxury resorts have emerged and are commanding much higher prices. While this is providing very high-quality goods and services to those who can afford it, the new standards that are being continuously set also have a trickle-down effect on non-luxury goods industries. The common consumer also becomes more discerning, and competition forces the producers to endeavor to achieve better quality in everyday products. I'm sure many of us remember the days when goods were sold as export quality in the shops to denote better quality. Today, that term is no longer used as the consumer has greater choice and the market has a capacity to quickly reject what is seen as substandard product. Luxury industry, therefore, has a positive impact on overall quality dissemination in the economy. The second, and in my opinion, more critical impact is on the emerging link between those considered at the bottom of the pyramid and the production of high-value products. As luxury products sell exclusively, increasingly mass-produced items are become passé, and there is a push to move towards exclusive production. Fashion garment industry, the high-value designer boutique producers, etc., have created links with handloom weavers, hand block printers, etc., to create exclusive ranges. Zardozi from Varanasi, chicken work from Lucknow, Bagru and Sanganiri prints, Kashmiri carpets, brassware from Moradabad, Tanchoi. The list is very long. The dying crafts, with their uniqueness and excellence, were wilting under the onslaught of mass-produced items until the likes of Ritu Beri, Muzaffar Ali, John and Faith Singh, Raghavendra Rathore, Tarun Tahliani, and many, many more of them who may be sitting here also today, began to visit the roots and create luxury products based on exclusivity, excellence, natural base, and creativity of the master craftsman. From this connect, we are now seeing the resurrection of the traditional crafts and their transformation from the product of local markets and everyday consumers to the high-spending luxury and customers. Not only is there a move to get production done through the traditional craftsmen of traditional products, but also make them acceptable to the contemporary market. There is also the next move towards linking these products to the immensely more demanding and spending global luxury markets through the powerful instrumentality of e-commerce. Amazon's fashion business is now estimated to be around $100 billion in global revenues. It is considered one of the Amazon's fastest growing businesses. My ministry has done some work in this area, and I am certain that my minister who's sitting here will be speaking about this to you. We are looking at, in the areas of craft where minorities are predominantly occupied, creating end-to-end solutions. We are working on setting standards, third-party certification processes, intellectual property right protection, creating value chains that link the crafts and the craftsmen to the contemporary markets, etc. I'm therefore very pleased that ASSOCHAM has organized this luxury summit, which is not only a time for celebration for the rich and the indulgent, but also for millions of those who have transformed their skills into art and are producing and reaping benefits from the rapidly shrinking world and blurred lines between the consumer and the producer. I wish the summit success. Thank you.